We was gentleman gangsters way longer than we was guerrilla gangsters.
Right,
I put it like this: violence is the last resort.
right.
If we can't work it out like men, then that's why all this other mess been going on since day one, these wars and all this other mess. Leadership is keeping us divided from
Right.
one love. The selfishness, the self-appointed chiefs,
Understood.
the power struck, the brothers with the muscle still on that bully stuff. But I'm happy to say when you spoke about education, and we have educated more brothers and sisters than I believe the Chicago Board of Education ever did.
Wow.
And then we have graduated more.
So hear what I say, for it is the truth you see. There can only be one, the original.
OG, two letters that define respect. Welcome to the original OGs. I created the original OGs to document the forgotten parts of American history. I want to recognize and give a voice to the men and women that have climbed to the top of their game. Believe me, the men and women that sit in front of this marquee have been authenticated as original OGs. My name is Mr. Rick. Welcome to my world, a world of the originals, the unique. Welcome to the original OGs. This is OG Mr. Rick. If you've heard the music in the background of our show, it's the theme song for our show. If you're a real OG, an original OG, aspiring to be an OG, you really want to hear this song in its entirety. This is one of those songs, if you're in your car and you're just cruising, I'm telling you, it's gonna take you back. It's gonna put you in a space, hey, it's gonna make you step your game up. If you think about the Parliaments, if you think about the Funkadelics, if you think about the Stylistics, even Superfly, you're gonna love it, and it's current. It has that new flavor to it. And I'm telling you, I put some heavy game in there, so if you pay attention, you're gonna walk away with something. So, you know, we really want you to go and enjoy this song. Once again, hear what I said. I put some heavy game in here, you know, so go and get the song. You can download it. It's on social media. It's on all platforms. I tell you, it's a smash. Don't let it get by you.
Listen, my brother,
That's it. That's all.
life is called. Getting ahead any way you can. Money.
We're going to take another unusual journey for you today. Kind of bear with me and just walk with me. I think you're going to really enjoy this. I say that all the time, don't I? But you do. But anyway, my guest is Ike Taylor. How you doing, brother?
We good. Thank you for having me.
OG Ike
I
Taylor.
wish.
You wish. Okay. So he's a community activist, a historian, and an original member of the Pontiac 17, which he calls the Pontiac 16. We'll find out why later, but we're going to get right into it. Where were you born and raised?
I was born November 3rd, 1950. Cook County Hospital, Ward 51. And back then, as I learned, that was the predominant ward for the blacks in the city.
Okay.
And I was raised on 51st and Federal. That area back then was called Shacktown. That was before the projects and the Dan Ryan.
Right.
It was Shacktown. And I tell people, especially like now I have grandkids and great grandkids, and I tell them, when my father and my mother migrated from Indianola, Mississippi in the 40s following, World War II, where the jobs were. Well, anyway, we was so poor. We had an outhouse, in-house. Now, we had a bathroom and a toilet, but we had no indoor plumbing. And when it was cold, we used to have to get dressed to go to the bathroom. Now, you must understand, I have 15 siblings, same mother, same father, no twins. And my oldest brother, right today, I'm proud to say, is 80 years old.
Oh, wow.
Good health, he's still moving, doing his thing. Him and his wife, passport is almost full because they didn't just about circle and visit the world.
Beautiful.
And my like I did that interview with Software Belly, and a lot of people were saying that we wouldn't have been so poor if we weren't 16 kids. But when you heating a house in the 50s with a coal pot-bellied stove, and you only got one room, and that was the kitchen, because that's where the stove was, and that's where everything congregated. But I'm
Right.
proud to say we never went dirty. We had to eat grits and grease off the salt pork.
A
And
flavor.
we had them big old homemade biscuits with the little bumps in them and stuff, but we ate. My mother used to cook a lot of beans and rice and cornbread because she was able to put extra cup of water in it. So, but like I said, I never went to bed dirty or hungry. Maybe cold for a minute or two,
I get it.
but still, from back then to where I am now sitting, from the gutter,
Imagine that.
and then too, let me take a moment to thank all my family, my friends, and my folks. The man I am today, all y'all were so instrumental in making me who I am. I want to thank everyone for giving me a voice, because they wouldn't listen. I wouldn't be here if I didn't have a voice.
Exactly.
I didn't had all my trials and tribulations through life. Been sick. In fact, I'm just now recovering from 8 years of illness.
Wow.
Survived all through that COVID mess, gunshots, death row, all that. And my mother used to visit me in hospitals and visiting rooms. And she used to look at me and she used to say, I don't know what it is, but you have a purpose in life. She said, the good Lord wouldn't put you through what he do and heal you. And I couldn't understand it, because I'm saying, well, the Lord's so good. You know, why don't he make some of them bullets go that
Go the
way,
other way.
or throw a couple of them cases out that was bogus and all that other mess. But now I realize what she meant, because if I didn't go through what I did,
Hello.
I wouldn't have a testimony.
And you wouldn't be the person that you are.
Never.
So, coming out of, or your family coming out of Mississippi, when the family comes out of Mississippi, you're still in Mississippi,
Yes.
in your house.
Yes.
You know.
Yes. And thank God for the moral principles and values from the South.
You feel me?
And we came up with an unwritten code of the streets.
You feel me?
21st century. Ask me about it. What code?
Yeah. So, what was it like being raised in that environment as a child?
Well, we all a product of our environment.
Very true.
So we all born innocent. I didn't know nothing that about discrimination or being poor, or I'm just a happy-go-lucky little fella, because then we had a village.
Right.
We had a village.
Exactly.
Miss Birdie, little, I don't know how old she was, but when my mother and father was at work or not at home, the elders took care of us.
Exactly.
They fed us. But if we threw some rocks or said a word or did something like that, Miss Birdie and Miss McKnight them used to make us sit at the foot of the stairs till our parents got home.
Hello?
And you couldn't bip bop, you couldn't say nothing.
You better not move.
But if it didn't teach us nothing else, it taught us patience. Because when we were sitting at the bottom of them stairs, we was thinking. We couldn't talk,
There you go.
but we had to just think. And I thank God for them elders. And like I say now, we started with a village. And by that displacement through the years, they broke the village up.
Exactly.
Then we made neighborhoods.
Hello?
They still bust us up. And right today, only thing we got left is hoods. Where you from, the hood?
Yeah, you ain't even got a neighbor no more.
No, I don't even know. They don't know
It's
me.
crazy. So, you go into your teen years. This
Yes.
is when it gets interesting, and you begin to experience different things. And at this point, you're still South, correct? On the
Yes, I'm
south side
still
of
on
Chicago.
66 and Sangamon.
What high school you attended and what it was like, and
Well,
what
I'm smiling when
experiences?
you mention high school because in Chicago Board of Education, I just really went to the 6th grade.
Okay.
I just went to the 6th grade.
And where did you attend?
Let me go back. I started at John Farron on 51st Estate. When we moved to Inglewood, I went to D.S. Wentworth on 69th and Sangamon. Then I went to Bass, Bill, and Kershaw. And then when I got to 6th grade, I went to Juliet G. Lowe. But as far as I went with the Chicago Board of Education, and the same way with Larry, he went to the 9th grade. And you know what happened the first day
Right.
he attended high school. And there was another thing with our schooling, because everybody, David, Jeff, had their own schools in their communities, their high schools,
Right.
Inglewood Park and,
Right.
Hyde Park. We didn't have one. We come up under them. So whenever we did, well, we was on some sides of secrecy, hanging around Inglewood Park, this and that. But like I say, after Larry got shot, that was it for him as far as school was concerned. And like I say, by the time I was in 6th grade, I was going to Mosley. And from there, I went to St. Charles, all that. But by
Okay.
the time I was 17, I had to do 6 months in the Cook County Jail. Thank God for Warden English in the PACE program. And I got my GED in the PACE program.
Oh, okay.
And I hooked up with Dr. Hurst at Malcolm X College.
Okay.
And that was when they were still in Jewtown a little bit in the little classroom trailers or something
Right.
before the school was built. But I started going there mainly because of the Black Panthers,
Okay.
because they was educated. Huey, Bobby, and all of them come out of college.
Exactly.
And I'm big on education. Well, like I said, at 17, I started a GED program for street organizations at Malcolm X. And they funded it and supported it for 1 year. But like they always do with our programs, they might fund it for a year. And then they'll bring their people in and don't fund it the next year.
You already know.
And now the ones that never lived it, don't come out communities, don't look like us, they being funded and they just change the name of the program, then they bring their people in.
Hostile takeover.
Always. It's still happening today. It's just like Chicago just got that $100 million grant for the violence and this and that. Now, do you think some of that $100 million, when they get through stealing what they're going to steal and exorbitant salaries they going to get and all that other stuff, so they're going to leave the peanuts like they did with Jeff and David, them with that grant, and come back and misappropriate funds and embezzlement and all that mess to cover what they done stole and what they done did.
They came in, hijacked the program.
Yes, they wouldn't fund it the second year. They wouldn't fund it.
So-
Every positive program we have for the youth coming up, even today, like I say, they'll take it, look at it, this and that, approve it on the low ball, this and that, and then the next year they won't fund it.
And
Because
take
one
control of it.
with their people.
Right.
And then, we always had sellouts. So them Judas, they'll take $1 or $2 and do what they do.
This seems about where, and probably earlier than that. So the question should be, and when did you meet Larry?
Oh, when did I meet Larry?
Yeah, Larry Hoover.
Yes, sir, Mr. Hoover.
Yes.
I met Larry in 1959. We was 8 years old. We had just moved into Inglewood. He come off 42nd and Forestville. I come off 51st in Federal. Wow. And we was going to D.S. Wentworth. And something about him. I don't know what it was. But we was all in the playground. They still had the little merry-go-rounds, the slides. And Larry was wearing them bro games. Remember with the taps and all that? Everybody. And on the sliding board, where you could stand up slide, and I saw him, and it was just something about him. And then I just eased my way over to him, and And we just started playing together. And Larry wasn't very athletic, but I was. But he would always come cheer us off because he had that leadership ability back then. And he didn't play because Larry always liked to dress. And we didn't care, we had a game going. But he would always coach a ref. And then he was always about a nickel or dime. So he'd be over there betting on the side, And we just became cool. And we just, met up in school, in the school yard. And then one day, Larry got into it with this little brother. And Larry got all excited. And Larry had a studying problem as a kid. And when, any weakness one as a kid find, they're going to exploit it. So they would laugh at Larry, and I get kind of upset. And I step up and I go signifying this and that and take it away. And we became friends. And one night, he invited me to his house. And we just laughing and talking. And I fell in love with him. He was a brother.
Pretty good.
He was a brother because I couldn't hang with me and my oldest brother 6 years apart. So, I couldn't hang with him.
Right.
And then my other brother under me is 3 years younger than me. He couldn't hang with me. And then I have them 9 sisters. And they, I got 3 older than me. So when they became teenagers, they started liking some of the little brothers in the neighborhood we grew up with.
Right.
But you can't really be my friend and go with my sister.
It was kind of rough there.
Yeah, because family first. Yeah, come on, family first, right? And the Royal Disciples was coming up in the neighborhood.
Who are the Royal Disciples?
Ronald Singletary, Bull, Pinky,
I don't mean to interrupt you.
DP. I'm just them some of my brothers.
Right, but I don't mean to interrupt you, but you said Bull.
Bull?
Yeah.
Yeah, not Bull from the Black Peace Stone
okay. You wanted
Rangers.
to
I'm talking
clarify
about I can't think his name. It's I can't think.
Different Bull.
Yeah, Al Bull.
Okay.
And they was, like I said, everybody was a few older than us. And like I said, they was all Royal Disciples. But I wasn't gonna be no Royal Disciple because you couldn't be my friend and go with my sisters. And plus, with all them brothers and sisters, I can't hang around the house and be, around the hood and be Ike, because them little stupids, and they gonna tell.
Right.
Yeah, they gonna tell on me. And so I go down and hang with Larry. And plus, when Larry's mother used to go to work at 4 o'clock, Larry's in charge of the house.
Right.
So we could be a little mannish. We could be a little grown back then. But yeah, and that's how it started with me and Larry. And that was before any organization, this and that, because by the time we was 12, we met Didi, Andrew Howard, and he a couple years older than us. And Larry fell in love with Didi mainly because the way Didi was dressing.
Right.
Because, our generation was the last brothers and sisters that dressed.
Exactly.
And Didi was sharp, 15, 16 years old, ran tailor made. He had a process. And, Larry was drawn to all that. But I wasn't, because I had to stay on some silence and secrecy because I didn't want my family and my mother and father. No, I didn't want no repercussions to my family because of me. And you know how that game go. They can't get you.
Hey, we'll start over here.
So like I said, we started hanging and this and that. And we was cool. From Larry's, he stayed on the 2nd floor. And his parking lot for the Guys and Gals Lounge was right there. Not even 200 feet from his building. So we would cut the light out in the evening. And while they're in the parking lot, you know how we do. We hang in the parking lot, we kick it, trade money, and tell a few lies to each other and this and that. And we would listen. And we didn't know at first what we were listening to, but we knew we never heard all this stuff before because we come up. Yeah, you wasn't no cursing, hanging, around grown folks, you know, and we
Right.
respect our elders regardless of what they was doing, what they was into. So we would listen and we would start picking up stuff. And like I say, Larry was drawn to that style.
Right.
As a kid, he dressed.
Oh, I get it.
He dressed and he was drawn to style. And then Tex came from Texas. And like I say, Dee Dee introduced us how to dress as kids, teenagers. And then when Tex came up, he come from Texas, so he had to connect. And it's in the 60s. We about 15 now, we Supreme Gangsters.
Right.
And that's when they flooded the community with them narcotics and this and that. And it's about Tex coming from Texas. He already had to connect on the border right there.
Right. Let's back up a little bit. You said Dee Dee.
Yes, Andrew Howard.
Is that the same
Yes.
Dee Dee that introduced Larry to U.S. Floyd?
Yes.
Okay. All
Yes.
right. We want to make sure that
Yeah.
we got.
So like say, like with our Tex, induced to drug, blah, blah, this. And like I say, Larry fell in love with that
the hustler.
image. Now, he never was no pimp, never was a bully. We didn't sanction none of that.
Right.
We we had rules and laws even as kids, because even as kids, certain things you just didn't do.
Right.
And that's why back since the early 60s, mid 60s, one of our things was all for one,
Right.
one for all. And no disrespect in each other, no. We outlawed that burglary of the houses,
Mm-hmm.
no robbing in the neighborhood, you couldn't hit them food trucks, none of that stuff.
Certain discipline.
Self-discipline.
So I heard you say that by this time you were all Supreme Gangsters.
Yes, messing with Dee Dee,
Okay.
we was 6 days Cobras, because we come up 6th Street.
Mhm.
So, and Dee Dee, Rich is Cobra.
Right.
You know, so we were 6th Street Cobra, and plus Cobras always have been allies to the Disciples.
Right.
You know, so fell in place. And we were 6th Street Cobras for a minute, but by Larry being a natural leader, Cobra's cool.
Mm-hmm.
All the street organization cool, because they've been asking us for years why we didn't hook up with this and that. But we was the new generation, and everybody want to do their own thing, you know. But Dee Dee, it was just something about Dee Dee, you know. Yeah, Dee Dee just Dee Dee. You know, he's a hell of a dude, man. I have all of them respect. And let me say this too about Dee Dee. Through the years, after we set up the board and everything, everybody used to ask me why Dee Dee wasn't a board member.
Mm.
It's a lot of them, originals, not a board member.
Right.
Because what they represent to the organization, it ranks so much higher than a board member. They don't need a title.
Understood. Understood. An original. So how did the Supreme Gangsters get started?
Well, before Supreme Gangsters, back then, everybody had social clubs. We was into dancing, dressing, and this and that. And like I say, we like 14 going on 15 or something. So, you know, we interested in, we still had sock hops at the school,
Right.
blue light, red light, basement party, quarter party, rent party. So, and everything wasn't in club for us. It was always either in the church basement, the school gym.
Right.
You know, so we never get through that. And we in Larry's room one night. It's about 4 or 5 of us. And the Supremes came
Singing group?
on Ed Sullivan for the first time. And you know, back then, there wasn't too many blacks.
Right.
And everybody didn't have a TV. So when the Supremes or Temptation, somebody gonna be on TV,
Ran home.
and we didn't run home, ran to the neighbors with a TV, and the neighbors sit, we had a village, and the neighbors sit the TV and they
Right.
win, and we'd be on milk crates and all that,
Yeah.
and boxes and stuff, and we'd watch, same way with Joe Louis fights, and you know, all that and us. And yeah. And it's strange when you know, my mind race.
That's okay, mine too.
But it's strange when I think about my child.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have nothing. Even our neighborhood, the community, we didn't have nothing. Half the folks didn't have lights and couldn't pay the $4, $5 rent, all that mess. But we was happy.
Yeah, it was a norm.
We was healthy. because we fed,
Right.
you know, everybody ate.
Yeah, go down there and see if Miss Jones
And
got
if
some
Miss
potatoes.
Jones didn't have rent money, we gonna throw a quarter party.
You see what I'm
a
saying?
rent party. We gonna
Hey,
get it, you know.
You just went there then.
And like I say, and we sitting in the room, Supreme's on, and you know, they flashy, clean, sharp, and and somebody said, man, that's just like us.
I must have been
And we
bad.
looking around, talking about, ain't no way they like us, them girls.
Right.
And we mucho macho trying to be, you know, we trying to make our boy, time we like them, but somehow that's Supreme. And then the gents came, because like I say, we was gentlemen. And let me say this too. We was gentlemen gangsters way longer than we was guerrilla gangsters.
Right.
And
Totally
I pride
understood.
myself on today. Today is being a gentleman.
Totally
But
understood.
even though that gorilla still followed me, you know? And I thank
understand.
God that I had that gorilla because I'm still alive today. And I'm not alive today because I'm tough. In fact, I have a low tolerance of pain, can't stand no violence, don't like to fight because I can't,
Right. Understood.
you know? But,
Age.
you know, I put it like this, violence is the last resort.
Right.
If we can't work it out like men, then that's why all this other mess been going on since day one, these wars and all this other mess, because they just can't work it out. And I've been begging certain brothers that have a little leadership under the organization, under the blue, and they leadership is keeping us divided from
Right.
one love, because
Exactly.
the selfishness, the self-appointed chiefs,
Understood.
the power struck, the brothers with the muscle still on that bully stuff. You know, they're keeping us divided, and then on the growth and development, there's certain things we don't sell, we don't do.
Right.
And they still say the GDs were disciples, but they still doing it. But I'm happy to say when you spoke about education, I'm happy to say I have a couple degrees, legit, not mail order. Larry have a couple degrees.
Right.
And we have educated more brothers and sisters than I believe the Chicago Board of Education ever did.
Wow.
And then we have graduated more. We even got brothers and sisters on the growth and development have masters. You know, Benny Lee is sitting in here with me, and Benny Lee, and look his growth. They done took gangbang off his name and chief and put professor. You
Beautiful
know,
thing.
you
Yeah.
know, and I have so much love and respect and honor for Benny, because like I say, it ain't where he at, it's where he comes from. That's his
Exactly.
growth.
Exactly.
And he peeped at our literature a time or two, you know, but it was made public, not just for my organization,
Right.
for the betterment of mankind in our community and our youth.
Totally
A
understood.
blueprint,
Yeah.
proud of it.
So you and Larry, how do you divide Supreme Gangster?
Well, naturally, by the time we 15, 16, we started making a little noise in the community because David and Jeff them was at us because we was
Right.
the up and coming, you know, new organization, and we refused to be a. And nothing wrong with them organizations now
Right.
because we all started out as one.
Yeah, it's not the
And
conversation.
then we got a little older and got away LSD.
Right.
And right today, I promote one love and no ops. Come on, man.
Understood.
We ain't got no ops. You know, you just got some fools that's got this mess going, but it's no ops.
Understood.
You know, and then too, like I say, with Jeepers,
Oh,
the
man,
Godfather
Jeepers.
of all nations, and you
Believe
never
that.
seen or heard that title bestowed upon no individual.
Man.
But Jeepers was a hell of a brother. Yes.
Okay, so you got Jeff and you got David, for the audience, Boxdale,
Right.
doing their thing.
Right.
And you guys are Supreme Gents
At the time.
at the time.
Yes. But when they came down hollering at us, or, you know, they was older than us, a little bigger, taking out little nickels and dimes and quarters. You know, we knew we had to do something. But anyway, we got to fighting them. We had a couple of zip guns, 22s, and thank God me and Larry back in the day was getting shot with that stuff because what they shooting folks with, oh my God, I'd have been dead at 16.
Yeah. Okay.
But then too, the way the gangster became, the way we fought back, we never was instigators.
Right.
We never was out there provoking anything, messing with people, this and that, 'cause we was kind of innovative, so we was getting our own little money, and everything was cheap then too.
Right.
Tailor made pants, $17.50.
Exactly.
Them Walkers, $37.50.
Okay.
Studsons were about $30, all that mess. But anyway, when we got to fighting back, they didn't realize one thing. We was organized and we was all born and raised in the city and come up together, even though Larry and Few more was born in the South. And they used to go, back in the day, go back to Big Mama's them house
Right.
in the country for the summer. But then when Emmett Till got killed, they cut all that off because
Right.
they knew we was born and raised in the city and we ain't know nothing about their way of life.
Exactly.
And well, we started fighting the disciples back. And somebody, I don't know who it was, Fluky, who or some, I can't remember. But it was one of them brothers back then that was prominent in life and this and that. And he said, man, the way them little dudes act, they act like gangsters. And it stuck. And next thing we know, the SG went from Supreme Gents
To
to Supreme Gangsters.
And you guys are still on the South Side.
Yeah, we still on the South Side. I ain't get to the West Side.
We're going to get there.
Yeah, that West Side.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So when does David come into play?
And,
with Larry.
Wait, like I seen something earlier about Davis where we went to Larry's house and said we had to be cheese. No. Like I say, it wasn't that much interaction. Only interaction we had was the brothers and going to school and like with me going to Mosley because Mosley was like Montefiore to the West Side.
Right.
And the brothers was all from different neighborhoods, this and that, different organizations. So I was able to meet a lot of them. And like I say, David, we had to try to go to parties, sock hops, and the word get around, and then some of them would show up, this and that, and it's been a lot of different stories about how Larry and David got together, blah, blah, this. And like I said, I wasn't with Larry 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So whenever he did, mess with David or David mess with him, I wasn't around. And then if I was around, I'll walk away because I didn't really trust him.
Right.
But anyway, whatever talks in this, only thing I know, after we went to, was invited to Jeff's center. And we sitting in there. And, teenagers, everybody, like in school, everybody noisy, this and that.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden the doors open and you know how the light come in the auditorium.
Right.
Everybody got quiet.
Mm.
And we looked and Jeff stood there. I ain't know it was Jeff then. He stood there for about 10 seconds. And then the first step he made, they stood up. Larry looking at me, I'm looking at him, what the hell?
Mm.
And Jeff came in, was quiet, took his position, said we had to say, and they did, all they represented this and that. And Larry was truly impressed.
Right.
I was kind of bewildered. Because what the hell, this little funny looking dude, and he was small. That was before, he went to the joint.
Right.
With teenage. But wow, his presence, Larry said, man, I'm like this. Cool. So anyway, we looked, listened, this and that. And whatever proposal Jeff brought to Larry, I wasn't there. But we talked about it and this and that. And by them in Hyde Park East, and we in Inglewood, and I don't know, David's smart. I don't know if he heard that they were talking to her with it, because, you know, Jeff at the time was recruiting and eating up everything East and the project, all that.
Right.
And so, like I say, never was an ambassador to Blackstone Rangers.
Larry.
Larry, in fact, no, not just Larry, all the original Supreme Gangsters.
Okay.
Never was Blackstone, even though we was cool because we had a common enemy
Right.
with Jeff them, supposedly, right?
Right.
But we didn't have too much interaction with Jeff them till they started coming, you know, west and put up like the same levels on 59th.
Right.
And you know, Carpenter Luma's up in there. And they had little branches here and there. But, you know, we was concentrated in Inglewood.
Right.
And when when David did get to talking, Larry, it made more sense because we was becoming young black revolutionary soul brothers, because they had started televising the civil rights movement on TV.
Right.
And we could read a little bit by now. And
Right.
we saw what was going on. You
Exactly.
know, and wow, we didn't know that, you know, but we know now.
Right.
And like I said, you know, we consider ourselves, you know, little revolutionary soul brothers because we was following behind the Black Panthers, SLA, or the Black Mau Mau's. We're really all black organizations, revolutionary, the Weathermen,
Right.
Underground, all that, you know, the Great Panthers. And we started, well, J. Edgar Hoover started that mess. Saying that all street organizations was gangs.
Right.
And right today, gang. Don't
Right.
nobody want to be associated or be known as a gang. That's why
Right.
we always had an organization, because we was organized. We had laws. You know, we
Understood.
open our meetings up the same way they do under Robert Rules of Order, parliamentary procedures.
Right.
Everything was in order and this and that. You
Totally
know, but
understood.
by Mayor, J. Edgar Hoover saying we gang, that just opened the door for all law enforcement to attack all black organizations regardless.
That was the intent.
That's what it was.
Yeah, that was the intent.
And then they introduced the drugs, the heroin, into the communities. And they took all the jobs that we was performing, put them in the third world countries, started developing them sweatshops and this and that. And then when the job's gone, they introduced that welfare mess. And then with the welfare, they outlawed the men in the house.
Right.
And all of a sudden, the women had the jobs. They became the breadwinners. And then under that welfare, in order for you to get that old peanut butter and that old dry milk stuff, you had to name a father for your kids.
Right.
And they ain't had DNA.
Right.
You know, so whoever she liked who had a job or who had a couple of dollars, that was the daddy on the birth certificate. And then that made them the ones that was really working. That made them quit working because the little money they was making, the city was taking it because the mother and the kids on welfare now.
Right.
And so they wasn't living. And then too, one of the coldest, embarrassing thing I ever seen my daddy do on 51st and Federal when I was still a little kid. Them people used to come to your house every so often and check, make sure you ain't got a TV or a fan or a radio and this and that or certain food
Right.
or clothing. They'll look through your house like they had a search
Walk
warrant.
straight through it.
Yeah, like they had a search warrant. And one of my brother's sisters said, here come whoever she was. And I saw my father get up.
And hit the back door.
Come on. It's still
I remember.
find it hard for me to
I totally get it. I totally
because you
get
know, I had a man for a father.
it. I get it.
I had a man for a father.
Totally get it.
I had a man for a father.
Those were the
He
circumstances.
had one off day all his life, and that was on a Sunday.
Wow.
And he always had two jobs.
I totally get it. You said that in that time, the organization, and we're talking about Supreme Gangsters right now, and the other organizations view themselves as revolutionary.
Yes.
You
We
know.
was the vanguard of the community. And when they brought them drugs, them guns, them blaxploitation movies, them Donald Gone books, we became the venom of our
Exactly.
communities. We was the
Exactly.
poison.
So I don't want to interrupt you.
No, go
I'm
ahead.
trying to get us somewhere. When did you move to the West Side?
Oh, I was forced. It wasn't no. Well, I was in Sheridan, and by the time the welfare still had control of the wasn't no Euclid, just that old juvenile delinquent stuff. So, in order for me to come home from Sheridan, I had to get out of state parole because they knew I was hooked up with Larry and was fighting and everything.
Right.
And by then, Charlie acting with the Double Six Kings on 66 and Parnell, so we dealing with them. And they said no, they didn't want me back. So in Detroit, where my grandmother and grandfather migrated to, they had their family there. So I had a cousin we used to call Farmer because he was country.
Right.
And he was about a year taller than me, but him and his brother, a couple of his brothers was in the streets. And one of the brothers committed a murder. Well, I don't know nothing about it, but he was convicted for murder. So they stopped all that going to Detroit.
Exactly.
So they didn't want me being there till I was 21 because I'm 16.
Right.
And somehow it was worked out that if my family could move out of Inglewood.
Wow.
But then, too, it wasn't too many places with a family. About 12 of us then, 12, 13 could move. And so we had to get what we got. And at the time, Pulaski and Carlo, they found the home over there. So I was able to, get out that September. But I was turning 17, and I remember Captain Shockley told me, he was walking me out to be released. He said, yeah, you'll be 17 in a couple of months. You know what that means, right? He said, yeah, you and your boys, keep it up. You be in the big house,
Yes,
we laughed
sir.
it off, and I called him a few names under my breath that I've been wanting to tell my counterpart since I was
Right.
there. But then in Sheridan, I learned a lot because we was in a cell, but you did go to school, you did have jobs, little trades and stuff back then, because they were still on some rehab type stuff, but we know they was stealing. But anyway, that's why I got personal with David, Kira, them, because, they was keeping them, they was 21. But my first adversary there was Willie Lloyd. And I grinned at it now. We had about 3 fights on the Blake. He said he won 2, but I said I won 2 out of the 3. But we became brothers.
Okay.
We really became, even though he was a little vice lord. And at the time, Supreme Gangsters wasn't all that prominent, so everybody thought I was a disciple with, with David and because I'm favoring with them. And he was a little tough little dude for the vice lords. And Watusi them used to have them, everybody was still
Watusi.
boxing. Yeah, everybody was still boxing and all that stuff back then. And they used to make me box with him. But like I said, after 3 fights, not like today. We didn't run getting no shanks and on the street. We didn't run getting no guns. We went head up. Like I said,
That's your manhood.
We did it 3 times until we said, man, I like you. They got us in the hole, so we have to be hollering through the truck hole. That's what I'm saying. And now my family moved, really get out before I do. My family moved 4051 West Gladys. So Pulaski right there. And I done met all them brothers up and down Pulaski doing the youth commission school and all that. So I was comfortable, cool, and plus one of the conditions of my parole said I couldn't go south. But then too, I knew on the weekend they closed their offices and do this and that. So I go south for the weekend.
Right.
And I come back and hang with Willie them. I used to be all up on Lexington, little pool room on KZ and St. Louis. And then my girlfriend, the mother of my 2 sons, come off of Polk and Lawndale.
Okay.
So I was in Drench. Like I said, I knew everybody. And the way, but like then we Supreme Gangsters for a few years, because this before 69, before we
Right.
come GD. But yeah, Willie, my man, and one organization of the Vice Lords, Supreme Gangsters Never Fought. Guess what organization? What
was
branch?
that?
Unknown.
Unknown.
Never
Willie's
fought
people.
unknown. And then we had some of the brothers that was off Carson and Madison moved over that way, but their older brothers was Supreme Gangsters, like
Right.
Blue and Larry and them. So that's when they used to be up on kids up at St. Philip's. You know, Willie them had a little center back up in there. So we was cool. We used to visit it. But by Blue and Larry them hanging with us, Larry Jones them, they want to know why they so cool with us, this and that. And out of that grew them gangster lords for a minute. You know, because we was like first cousins.
Right.
You know? And unknown.
So now you're on the West Side, you're establishing yourself. So how do you and Face, who's already on the West Side, how do you guys come together?
Well, Face was considered, no, not considered. Face was the chief of the first branch of Supreme Gangsters. Now, every other branch had different names,
Right.
but he was the only one that I felt worthy enough to carry Supreme, you know? And plus, Face them to me was like middle class. They was property.
For real, no,
Yeah,
they were middle
They was
class.
property owners. They had
whole
cars,
nine. I'm
and
talking about
clothes.
White
Yeah.
Stones.
Come on now.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, I fell in love with Face, Warren Barconi.
Warren Barconi. Now,
Yes,
I want to
sir.
throw
And
this
may
in
he
there.
rest in peace.
May he rest in peace. I
Always.
want to throw this in there. One day, my partner, the producer, had a meeting with you, and he called me. He called me. We was talking. He said, "You know, Ike told me to tell you, you're a Supreme Gangster."
And on that note, I was checking the books before I got here. You ain't paid no dues in a minute. What's up?
You feel me? I'm paying them now.
But listen, I done got owed the organization about $1 million or $2 million by now for violations and everything. else,
Wow.
You know?
Man, so, you know, I came under Face.
Yes.
Do you remember Lil Caesar?
Come on now.
Lil Caesar was my best
Come on,
friend.
Little Caesar, how you think it got that name?
Hey, okay.
You know, I did a thesis in college in California on nicknames. And we have some colorful nicknames. But my beef with Nick's name, the bulls, the dogs, the snakes, they try to live up to that stuff. Come
Exactly.
on, man. You a sheep.
But
You know, if you're a dog or wolf,
you
don't
all
need-
had
you know.
made Lil Caesar the king.
He was the
of
man.
kings.
Yeah.
So he was my best friend, and that's how
Yeah.
he introduced me to the Supreme Gangsters, and I became a Pee Wee Supreme Gangster
Yes, sir.
with him, and we fell up on the Face.
Yes, sir.
And I don't have to tell you, Face was my friend until the day he passed, because you and I were at the funeral.
Listen.
And when they said, anybody that has known Face for 50 plus years, stand up. There was about 7 of us.
I
that
think I
stood up.
beat you up.
Yeah, you did. There was about 7 of us, you know what I'm saying? And I wanted to take it there because I wanted to make sure that our friend was mentioned. Where did you and Face connect at?
Okay. Ronald Lawson Red. He was back then in the late 60s. We had president, vice president, sergeant at arms. So Red was the sergeant at arms of Supreme Gangsters.
Okay.
So Red family moved off Gladys and Keeler to Franklin and Horman, that Brown building right on the corner.
Exactly.
And we just mentioned his name. He lived on the block. And his sister,
Snoop.
and Snoop and his sister.
My
And
man, it's not a shout out to Snoop.
It's not out to Snoop, still here. And so, you know, Red is a natural born leader.
Okay.
So no matter where he go, he gonna stand out. And then too, you know, with that name Red, he light skinned and had that red hair. And Joe Rubio was his father with sticks, and you know what I'm talking about.
My man,
And,
shout out to Sticks.
Yes, sir. And So like I say, and we was travelers, because even in our lit, we had no boundaries, no limitations. So you can't tell us where we can and cannot go. Because if you tell me I can't go on 16th Street, guess what?
I'm gonna be on 16th
I'm
Street.
gonna be up there like with a flashlight. Make sure you see me. But no, not for anything other than with no limits, no boundaries. Like I say, Face had been living over there for years.
Right.
They'd been established. And then too, at the time when he was young, he was community activist and he was a youth leader and this and that. Like I say, Face was a natural leader. So it was inevitable for me and Face to bump heads because Red there. And then too, over there was nice.
Right.
It was nice.
Real nice.
Yeah, so we spent, time at Red's house because Red was the only kid there and he had his own bedroom.
Okay.
He had his own
That
bedroom.
was huge then.
Yeah, had a TV.
Right. Oh,
But then
Lord.
too,
What?
Joe Rubio was his dad.
Right.
So yeah, that's
That's a
our
whole another conversation.
yeah, that's deep before
Yeah.
me and you.
Okay.
And Red introduced me to Face and a few more of the brothers and this and that. And then like with US, with the Outlaws, they was the Rangers. But Diddy went down there and told them what time it was with us, with Larry and the Gangsters.
Right.
And we had our own center and blah, blah. And the same thing happened out west. The Gladys boys, Adam Aces and all that mess. Well, you on the west side now, how come you can't be with us? I'm
Right.
telling you, I'm already part of something. What's so
Exactly.
special about this? I told them, meet me here Saturday night. I'm going to take y'all to the center. And we went to the center on Saturday night.
Where was the center?
On 68th and Halsted. That was Larry's center.
Right.
And in fact, before I had mine on the west side, but anyway, we brought the brothers to the center. And the way that they was treated, even the females fed them, danced with them, made them feel comfortable, and they wasn't used to that,
Right.
And Larry met them, and Tennessee and all of them come out and meet them, shook hands. So I wasn't staying at the time with my family on Gladys. But my brother called me that Sunday afternoon. Hey, what you done did? I said, oh, Lord, the police that must have been in my mama's house, right? And I told him, what I did? What mama say? He said, no, man. He said, all over here, they done tagged Supreme Gangsters.
Man.
I said, what? I ain't, I had nothing to do with that.
Right.
And when I did come out and looked at it, I said, oh, Lord. So when I got with Red, they said they Supreme Gangsters. Now, everybody contributed to me bringing the gangsters to the west side. No, sir.
Wow.
Red them did that. Red Clembo, Roscoe them did that because they liked the way we moved. And right today, I'm proud to say, me personally, and I know Larry, we never drafted or forced anybody to be with us. That's why when we started out with just so few of us,
Right.
we didn't go for that because we just wanted you out like this. I want you to like me like I like you.
Simple as that.
That's it. And then too, I thank God for my mama. As a kid, she always instilled in us, no matter where you at, what you do, how you live, and just treat people the way you want to be treated. And Lord knows it didn't work for me.
Okay.
Yes, sir, it works. It works.
So here's the thing. The Supreme Gangsters with Face for me
Yes.
was kind of like political empowerment, black power.
Come on now.
You see what I'm
That's
saying?
what we were founded on.
Right. And I wanted to be involved in the black power, the revolutionary part of it. And that's what it did for me. That's what attracted me to it, along with Lil Caesar.
Yes. Unity.
Exactly. It was that's why you were able to go here and go there, because everybody was pretty much still in that state of mind.
On the same page.
Yeah.
Yes, we was all, like I say, all the street organizations that came up in the 60s
Exactly.
came up under the Black Revolutionary and the Civil Rights Movement because before, if you knew, before 69, everybody was Supreme Gangster, Devil Disciple, Blacks. But then after that, everybody put that black.
Exactly.
I was a Black Supreme Gangster.
Exactly.
I was a Black Gangster Disciple.
Black Stone.
Always.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Everything was fighting for blackness. So you end up going to prison and doing one of the things that was so vital to the organizations, you wrote the bylaws. Where was your mind when you wrote the bylaws? What were you trying to accomplish by getting everyone to follow a set of rules?
Well, what it was, like I say, I deployed violence, and I wouldn't have been shot so many times if I would have shot first and talked a little later. But I'm always standing in the olive branch, and I want to talk because I
Right.
can't, like I said, I can't fight none of this stuff, right? So I want to talk. And back then, the chief had the muscles, not the brain.
Right.
Jeff, Larry, and even a few more of them. It wasn't about the muscles in the end of the 60s, early 70s.
Right.
It was thinkers.
Exactly.
And then too, like I said, I pride myself always on being organized. So everything we do and move be organized.
Exactly.
You know, and so like I say, getting back to the branches that facing all them coming in, that was that generation. And they saw what we was doing, and like I said, we had our own centers. So we got the breakfast program, we got nurses and doctors on staff, we got lawyers, and we having our little dances, skates, and this and that. But through history, there's always somebody or somebody's that's haters. They
without a
envy what you're doing because what they might have been doing ain't cool no more because now we doing something else.
Exactly.
And that's what's happening with right today. Not only with the disciples, with that split of the BDs and the GDs and all that death and destruction, you still got brothers dead, paralyzed in the penitentiary and this and that because, well, I can't count. Maybe it was more than two, but I know two
Right.
they called it split.
Right.
And it wasn't about the money. It wasn't about organizing, not the unity as one. They did it out of jealousy and envy because they couldn't be no more. And then two, the split came about because we all started as equals. We was allies, you know, Larry King, David, Tennessee Prince, Old Timer Prince. But through the years, Supreme Gangster Roots rose to the top of the organization and had all of the positions.
Right.
So the other ones that was self-titled with dons and kings and queens and all that other mess decided we got to worry, but I like to say they sent us a memo and said that disciples going back to their roots.
Okay.
Cool. And then they expected for me and Larry to say, okay, cool, no problem. We going back to our roots, Supreme Gangsters. But we disciples now.
Right. You know,
I've been disciples since 1969, since the inception. So how am I going back to some roots in
this is your root.
like a mighty oak? You know? And then too, like I said, let me finish real quick.
Go ahead.
So I like to say these sent us a memo, so they're going back. So they expected us to say, okay, cool. Y'all disciple, we going back to our gangster roots.
Right.
But out of much love and respect for King David and what he put together with Larry, we're going to honor that
Right.
gangster disciple, that G and that D.
Right.
So y'all could drop y'all G, but guess what? We still disciples.
Exactly.
And right today, still disciples. That's why I say one love, no ops.
So we're talking late 60s.
Yeah, early 70s.
When did you what year do you go to prison?
I caught my case in 71. I went to the penitentiary with 10 to 20 in May 1973.
Okay.
So when I got to Stateville, they locked me in said because there was a lot of gang banging and stuff, all that crazy shit going on. And Larry got convicted. So they came to Stateville and took me to Pontiac because they didn't want us together, I guess.
Right.
Which is understandable. You know, so instead of us together in one spot now, we organizing and doing right and teaching in two spots. You know, and so after disciples called it split, after David died, and they got the banging and in Stateville, but in Pontiac, we're not doing that.
Right.
We're not doing that split stuff. So every time one of the chiefs of the Black Disciples, when they roots come down there and tell me they taking their people off count because, they say this and that. No, you ain't. Now, I recognize your little, rank or status, whatever you have, but when you got to that salad port and got off that bush, you under me. I run Pontiac.
Right.
And there ain't no splits and none of that stuff. And Benny will tell you too, everybody ate. Everybody stayed clean. Even our counterparts, even the ones supposed to be adversary, we didn't play that there.
No adversary.
And when they shipped Larry there, he had spent a year in the tombs because of the split.
Right.
In Stateville and fighting and this and that. So there wasn't no problems in Pontiac. They sent him after he did that year in tombs, they sent him to me to pacify, but they don't understand. Larry, my chief.
When you talk about the tombs.
Oh, that segregation where you in old Joliet, where they used to hold slaves and all that stuff, and you don't see daylight 24/7. You eat through all that sick, diabolical, evil stuff, them devils.
Whole nother world.
Yeah.
So while you're locked up, David has his demise.
Yes. In 74.
Okay, that's further down the line. And what year did you start writing the bylaws?
Okay, that was after we was indicted for the Pontiac riot. They gave me and Larry the conspiracy because they trying to say that I organized it and we did okay and all that, put it together. But we trying to say we was just scapegoat. That was spontaneous. And they even admitted down the line it was because of the overcrowding and the way they was treating us.
Right.
You just can't continue to just push me in. At first we started out by law just for one cell.
Right.
Then we protested doubling up. We tore up all the bunk beds, but then they came back, they locked the joint down and came back a few days later, right? And they took us out of cell and handcuffed one by one and welded the beds in the cell. So
that's when they started
that doubling up. Now they got 3, 4 to a cell. They even had 12 men cell. Can you imagine 12 grown men in a cell and the toilet is in the corner?
I ain't got to imagine. Been there, done that. I ain't got to imagine none of that. It's very inhumane.
It is. All of it. That's why when you get to the Pontiac.
We'll get to the Pontiac. Let me ask you this. Did you want for the Supreme Gangsters to join with the Disciples?
No, because the wounds were still fresh.
Which wounds?
Come out in, our faith, one another. Because they were still at it. But like I say, we didn't instigate nothing. We just retaliated. We just protected ourselves.
Okay.
We didn't have no win or nothing like that. But like I say, they might have been a gang, but we was an organization from day one. Everything we did was organized.
Right.
Wherever we went, where we dressed, how we ate, played, all that was organized. That's why we was able to survive with the smallest organization in the city.
Let's look at what you just said. How you ate, how you dressed. Let's look at that dress part for a second, because see, a lot of people see Larry on the internet or whatever, and he got this particular thing on, and they don't know what it was, but we know what it was. So let's describe for the audience what the Supreme Gangsters attire was.
Like you.
And when we
I put it like this. Let me say, excuse me.
No, go ahead.
I put it like this. When remember when we started resorting to gym shoes and the blue jeans? We refused. We went to khakis.
Exactly.
And the high boy shirts, the alpacas, the knits, and this and that. And instead of gym shoes, we wore bucks.
Exactly.
That was our identity.
There was a time when we wore the railroad hat.
Could leave me alone with them railroad hats.
And the overalls.
Yes, the bibs, overall bibs.
Hey,
I used to call Lake Country cool because
Hey.
sometimes we'd put a shirt and tie on with it and go to a
Exactly.
party.
But we all had
We were sorry.
them. And they was creased, starched, the whole 9 yards.
Listen, Shine King,
Stop playing.
by Thursday, if you ain't had your shoes shined and taken care of, you must be broke or you ain't going out or you got a court date.
Or
And
something
figure
going on.
you got a date to turn yourself in because that was natural. And then too, the barbershops, the Shine King parlors and that was the nucleus of the black community.
Hey, you know, we were talking earlier on another show with Calvin about, you know, how we used to dress and how we
Yes.
see that was our thing,
That was our signature.
you know.
I don't want to slight no other organization, but I still
No,
take
no, no,
pride
no.
in saying Supreme Gangsters with the sharpest mob in town.
But we're just telling you like it is.
Our generation was the last generation that dressed. And then too, we dressed for the occasion.
Hello.
I'm not going out Saturday night for what I'm gonna wear Sunday in church.
No, it ain't gonna happen.
No. And then too, you know about that hat.
Oh man, come on now.
I'm still doing this. Thinking old man gonna come up, gonna get
okay.
that. When you cross that threshold in the house, that hat come off.
Off your head.
And sitting in church or with a woman with a hat on.
That's unheard of.
But, you know, 21st century.
Take us through the merge.
It was beautiful. Because we was falling behind Martin, Malcolm, Maya, and that one love, that unity. And then too, while I'm speaking on the youth, you know, during the civil rights movement, Martin was losing for a minute until the youth came out of them schools. And when they was getting arrested, it was the youth that was filling them jails and bullpens up.
Exactly.
That's who kept the civil rights movement alive, the youth.
Exactly.
It was the youth. It was us.
It was the calling of the day.
It was us.
I
It
totally
was
agree.
us.
Totally agree.
And who would ever thought that we'll get to the point we are today? You know, and that remind me, my mother used to always tell me, she used to say, there's a lot of black males.
There ain't a lot of black men.
There ain't too many black men. And I always wanted to grow up to be one thing.
A black man.
That's all. I just wanted to be a man. In
totally
order,
get it.
man, age don't make you a man.
No.
It's what you do, how you live, how you
Totally.
think. And that's that growth I speak on. Because everyone in this room, just think back 10 years ago, and that ain't really no time now. You know? And look where you was at compared to where you at today. Look at your growth.
Man, it's crazy.
And look at us.
You know. So when the merge happened, you were still out, weren't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you guys became closer with the South Side. You already had roots on the South Side. How did that transpire?
From the south to the west.
No, just
The unit.
merge. Yeah.
The merge. Well, what it was, like I said, we was all coming up on the civil rights movement. And David was an activist. He was a community activist. He was
Okay.
about peace and this and that, even though he had his
Okay.
rough side, because he country. He came from Mississippi, and that's all they knew,
I get it.
what to do. But like I said, we was in Inglewood, and I guess David heard about the proposal he brought to Larry. And Larry turned it down respectfully. All right. And David brought it to us. And then we knew David them had their center. They had their programs going.
Right.
And we all in Inglewood. And they was like our big brothers.
Right.
You know, so we listen and this and that. And then when he proposed that doing the alliance, that Larry still King Larry of the Supreme
Right.
Gangsters. And he still King David.
King David.
And they shared equal power, two kings. But Larry still ran his gangsters.
Right.
David ran his disciples. Now, when it came to community affairs or meetings, we, you know, it was as one, you know, GD.
Right.
But like I say, it took a few years for the brothers on both sides to say, they GDs or,
We won.
because
We're
the
a nation.
wrongs were still,
Yeah.
because like I said, we still teenagers. Ain't like we was at it for 10 years.
Right.
Hell, by that time we became GDs, we wasn't Supreme Gangster for about 3.
Right.
But when you a kid,
Exactly.
3 years is a lifetime.
You see what I'm saying? You're in prison,
Yeah.
and we want to talk about the Pontiac 17, what you call the Pontiac 16. You see what I'm saying? And I want to visit that because that was very powerful in our history. It changed a lot of things because people don't understand. If you haven't been through the penal system,
Right.
you really wouldn't.
You lose a
Yeah,
lot.
you don't understand the significance of it, and then that spilled over into society. So,
Well, you had asked me about the Pontiac riot, and since this brother been long past, common name, family, Roosevelt Daniel,
oh yeah,
so it started with a little stabbing here and that shit, but we smoothed that out. And at the time, Stateville still fighting, so they on the joint is on lockup. So anytime they have an institutional lockup, they take guards from one prison and put them in another one, because they got to clean up, feed, and do all the
Right.
stuff, the convicts was doing. So vice lords and Roosevelt Daniel come as a black nationalist because him and his family strong enough, had enough money, they could be what they want to be on that west side, right? But then when he come in the penitentiary, he come black nationalist, but he hooked up with the black souls because he's from the west side and knew Joe Smith and all them. But he had promised a vice lord or two, or El Rukin or two, that when a package of weed came in, he was going to look out for him. So I don't know if he didn't get what he thought he was getting, this and that, but he cut them out. And they had attitude, because I don't know if they had money involved or whatever. So like I say, a little stabbing. And we smoothed that over because they really couldn't lock the joint down or shake the joint down because they shorthanded because everybody in state there, right?
right,
So now we give, at the time the Black Souls and GDs riding together,
right,
and the Vice Lords and the El Rukins riding together, right? So after that's been smooth, Roosevelt Daniel told me through with it. Let him come back to the Sear House. He had to go to SIG, none of that. But he got that gangster shit on him. As soon as he got back, he stabbed the boy again. So here we go. So now the brother's up in arms, because this ain't just personal. Yeah, that's all they know. So we get on top of it. Me and Larry and a couple more brothers, we talking. But then one of the brothers of the El Rukins, he said that he's supposed to be running the El Rukins there. He said that if we support the Black Souls, then they was gonna get involved. Now, cool. I mean, not cool, but shit. I mean, wait a minute.
right.
So we go up to his cell and we talk to him. Like I said, I'm a talker. We talk to him. And instead of talking about fighting and killing each other, because the last brother that got killed, a disciple from Rockford, got killed down there on some of that gangbanging stuff in 73. And there was a big shake-up because they had in 73 in Stateville, they took over B House and, did some guards and all that other stuff.
Right.
But they were still segregated, they were still fighting this and that. So like I said, so it was mumbling about fighting each other. Because like I said, Ruben said we helped them, they on all this shit. So I told them, no, we ain't gonna fight each other. Look at this shit. I mean, look at this.
Look at us.
Yeah, look at this conditions that they got. They done double, tripled us up. They done got a black warden, general retired from the army, Warden Pinckney, because them devils done stole everything and overcrowded it. Governor Thompson, all them Republicans back then. So they changed it instead of doing each other. And Attica then blew up, New Mexico then blew up, and a couple more penitentiaries blew up for the same type of conditions and stuff. So if before I arm myself for my organization against some old brothers under this oppressive system, because the condition got us like this.
Right.
So somebody, I don't know nothing now.
Right.
Everything is from a third, fourth, fifth person that I heard. I don't know nothing.
Right.
But anyway, they said, well, look, instead of that, let's do something about this.
Right.
And they said it was organized, but no, it was just spontaneous. You can only take so much.
Right.
And that morning,
You create the situation.
they created it. And that morning coming from the yard, we knew, well, they knew, I don't know nothing. They knew that the South House was at the show in the church.
Mm-hmm.
And they knew the West House, when we were coming off the yard, the West House going in to Chow Hall. So you got all three cell houses moving, and they short-handed. So somebody, I don't know nothing, but somebody did something to Sergeant Walker. He's the first officer you meet in the cage coming in.
Right.
And then they went upstairs, and I don't know what happened up there, but they told me some officers got killed and stabbed up, and they burnt the place down. And it's crazy because Sergeant Patrick was a female, and she was on duty. But the brothers took all the few black officers and females there and locked them up in protective custody and put security on them because it wasn't about that.
Right.
And the first thing them devils said in the news media, when they found out Sergeant Patrick that got beat up, whooped and stabbed a couple times, say she was raped. It wasn't about that.
Moving from there, we're getting ready to organize something very powerful here. But before we do that, I want to add someone that was there with you.
This show has the intent to define what a real OG is, what an original OG is. My partner and I have developed a method to ensure that if someone should sit in front of this OG logo, that they have been authenticated and found to be true in their history as far as what an OG is.
And we're back. So we have added a guest who was a part of the Pontiac 17. We're going to let them walk you through this experience because this is very important history here. It did change the penal system. It did change society in ways that you're finna learn. Left off, we were talking about the events that took place within Pontiac that led to this. And I'd like for the two of you to share the conversation and give us your reality.
Well, you had touched earlier about the Pontiac 17. Well, we started out, the ones that was indicted for the murder and all that other mess, was 17 of us. Mm. But Angelo Robinson, a young black soul, he turned state. Mm. But it didn't really affect nothing, because we all beat it. Sure, but still, it still hurt today to know one of us did that to us.
Another Judas.
Yes, everywhere. But like I say, we still came out victorious, and we here to bear witness.
And I think I was 24 at the time.
Wow.
I was 27, and Larry 27.
Yeah, we were young, and in the beginning, the most scariest thing, because of our limited education.
Right.
In those courts, they speak Latin. And to be able to follow the dialogue in the courtroom was scary because we couldn't understand it. But through the grace of God, we had Ward English,
Yes.
who allowed the lawyers to actually come on the tier where we was at.
Wow.
And they laid out Chapter 38, adult law. They explained what a motion was and all this stuff. And what stuck out with me the most was that they're going to file a lot of motions in the beginning. And the way that works is if we so happen to get convicted, those motions will give us grounds to come back on the appeal.
Exactly.
And remember Leo Hope?
Yes.
In the beginning, he said we shouldn't take any lawyers, that we should represent ourselves.
Who was this?
Leo Hope.
He
was
became a judge.
He became a judge later,
way.
but he was one of the lead attorneys
Right.
in the case. In fact, the black attorneys formed the National Association of Black Lawyers. And they advised us when we first got indicted, no one choose a lawyer. We can exercise our Sixth Amendment right and proceed pro se and represent ourselves. And they're gonna get frustrated with us. Because remember, we was fighting first to get a change of judge who proved he was prejudiced. And we definitely wanted a change of venue
Yeah.
to get from out of Pontiac,
Livingston County.
Livingston County to Cook County.
Right.
Because if we'd have went to trial in Livingston County, the jurors would have been the families and friends of those guards.
Fight was fixed.
So they told us, represent ourselves, cause a lot of chaos, right? And they're going to violate our constitutional rights, and they're going to give us grounds to come back if we got convicted or whatever. And so out of really, the lawyers were so skillful with research, and they proved that initial Joe, wasn't it, Casely?
Yeah, that old.
Yeah, he refused to marry an integration couple, showing his prejudice. And so they brought in Ben Miller, who was head of the
Supreme Court,
Illinois Supreme Court. They put him to the case, and they realized that those state's attorneys in Livingston County was not experienced with these kind of cases. So they brought 2 special prosecutors from Cook County, private, to
Practice.
take over the
State's
case.
case.
Right.
Yeah.
And through that fight, we was able to get a change of venue from Livingston County to Cook County. But
Wow.
the catch was, initially the Cook County jail didn't want us in the jail.
Nobody.
Then they tried to put us in the MCC, the federal building.
We
They
didn't have a
said
federal
it's
case.
state
Nope, we didn't have a federal case.
Right, it wasn't a federal case. So they had to fight to get us in the jail, to get housed in the jail.
Let me say this real quick about the county jail and the change of venue. Because at first they gave us public defenders to
Right.
represent us in
Right.
Livingston County.
Right.
And that old judge with his president self wouldn't recluse himself to get off the case.
Right.
He fought to stay on even, and then you mentioned about he wouldn't marry a black man and a white woman. And then come to find out one of them Livingston County or Pontiac kids was sentenced. And the judge refused to send him to the penitentiary because he said them black gangs was gonna rape and kill him.
Right.
And that was
public.
public.
Yeah, and this is the guy sitting over your case.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then too, like I said, they gave us them old public defenders. We refused all that stuff. Like Benny said, we went pro se on them. And then the lawyers from the city, this before the change of venue, they started reaching out to us.
Right.
And they got kind of attitude-ish with me because I told them they got to send in a resume. And they said, they sent word back to me, who the hell y'all think you gangbangers is? We coming to save y'all life. No, y'all
Right.
not. Y'all became judges, prominent lawyers, and we recruited them from all over the United States, all specialists. Then they didn't want to pay our lawyers or investigators what they paying Illinois Department of Legal, law enforcement stuff, the governor's boys,
Right.
the same fees. That was, who got them? Oh, Harold Washington.
Man,
Wow.
Harold Washington. He was a congressman.
He was still a congressman.
Exactly.
He got us that money to match the funds that they had.
Wow.
And then when we got our change of venue, we was on the little bus. Now you know they had black guards in the bus with us, and all the other people following us and
Right.
over.
helicopter.
And remember, WJPC was still on the radio, so the
Radio
brothers had the radio on. And guess what song come on?
Ain't no stopping us now.
That's our theme
Head,
song.
White Head.
That became our theme song for
Every
the Pontiac
time we
brothers.
moved, that record, when we left court, that record would come
Ain't
on.
no stopping
Going
us
for
now.
That record would come on.
Wow.
And you-
Yeah. that record-
And on the bus, after we got the change of venue, you would have thought we all just made parole.
yeah.
We was they sending us to Cook County,
Wow.
26, and who the warden? And who
Warden.
raised us from the juvenile delinquent stuff all the way up?
War in English.
Word in English.
And listen, not only that, after he retired, they had a ceremony for him at Chicago State University down on 95th and King Drive. Me and Weedy, when we spoke on the panel, that was one of my that was my first public speaking for
engagement.
War in English at his ceremony.
I
And,
remember word in English.
ain't-
So
yeah,
you guys get in the process of going through the court. You're at Cook County Jail. You got a go back and forth to court. Who's the judge at this time, and who becomes the attorneys?
Well, when you first get there, you go in front of the Chief Justice, and they would assign what courtroom you go to and who would be the presiding judge. But they had already established that Ben Miller,
Yeah. Chief Justice.
Chief Justice over the Illinois State Supreme Court,
Republican.
he was going to be the judge. He was a Republican.
Because remember, Governor Thompson ran everything back then.
Right.
Like Ike was saying earlier, Governor Thompson, he came down that night of the rebellion, and he said that they expected the rebellion a year ago.
Yeah.
Because Pontiac was designed to house 600 inmates, but on the day of the rebellion, it was over 2,000 inmates.
Ain't that crazy?
And what was the temperature? Excuse me, what was the temperature? It was summer, July.
Yeah.
Like going on now.
Yeah, hot.
We didn't have no fans, no air conditioning.
Yeah,
And you had 2-3 men in the cell,
yeah.
a closet, and these grown folks.
And see, all that he said early on helped us in our case later.
Oh, let me say this real quick. Benny, I want to thank you for your growth and your professionalism and that old professor name. But what I really admire and respect about you, because you are the only Pontiac brother that ever spoke about our law meetings. And who spearheaded them?
You,
Oh, he.
Ike and Larry and them was older than us.
Larry
So
Hoover.
you had some young bucks. I was one of the young
Yeah.
bucks.
Right.
Now they was cahoots on me and Tuffy.
Oh, that
So
tough.
we had these big afros.
Oh, that Mafro.
And they was cahoots and like, we got to cut them afros.
George Jackson and back in them days, the Revolutionary Soul Brothers. No, we ain't.
Right.
Y'all cutting them afros out, all them old black power salutes, because we scapegoats.
Right.
We ain't none of that. We don't know nothing
get it.
about this. It was spontaneous, wasn't organized. And for one, they couldn't put it organized on me and Larry's conspiracy because there wasn't no list of demands.
Right.
No, they were saying, listen, ain't no use in making no list of demands because all this is wrong.
Exactly.
We don't talk about some more food, medical attention, longer.
Right.
All this is wrong. And somebody said, well, shoot,
That would have justified.
burn it down and let's start all over.
If they would have came up with a list of demands from
Oh,
us,
we was guilty.
that would have justified.
It was
the
organized.
conspiracy. It was
Yeah,
organized.
organized. And they admitted that me and Larry ain't touched nobody, ain't lit nothing or nothing, but it wouldn't have happened without our say so and with our organization. Because I had a detail I could run around the whole penitentiary 24 hours a day. I used to have to lock myself up to stay away from these boys, because them, y'all youngins was something else. They was busy.
I get it.
So I had to lock my own self up just to get me a breather, right?
Okay.
But still, we did it.
How long did that go on, the trial?
Oh, 3 years.
We got the
Indicted.
case happened July 28, 1978,
Hey, old man.
and we
July
got
22nd.
July 22,
Oh, this old man.
1978, and we got transferred from Pontiac October 14, 1978.
Straight to death row.
Yeah, we was on death row.
Straight to
And
death.
then the indictment came down around March 79, like that period waiting, right? So that's when we had to pull our act together.
Yeah.
First,
Right.
we was, like he said, it was a lot of tension
Yeah.
the day before.
Because we really
that.
didn't know each
We
other
didn't know
personally.
each other.
But everybody had a little rank, a little status, so they're going to, a whopper. They're going to have it their way.
Right.
Just do us all. But they underestimated us because when you first go in, they got us all listed as functioning literates.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
So they played us like that. We went to school on it.
But they didn't know that through that tension, we was able to reconcile our relationship with each other first.
I just had surgery Friday on my left eye. Tuffy hit me in my eye because he didn't want to cut that afro. No, you cutting that afro over. I took one for the gift, but they hit me in the eye, man.
And he would run his mouth. Remember that time, one time, he run his mouth and he's sitting up on the top of his chair. And Larry, who was reached down to grab a bottom of that chair,
Mother.
snatch him above. So it was a lot of tension.
But we made it.
We made
Oh, we broke bread.
Yeah.
No, wait a minute. Not only brothers, we became what?
brothers of the
Of
struggle.
the struggle. And there wasn't no one organization. The only reason it stuck with me and Larry because we kind of took the lead. Because like
Right.
you said, they were some young brothers. And we had more connections and stuff and all that other stuff. And they fell right in line because one morning they woke up and realized that we wasn't no George Jacksons and all that mess. No, we scapegoat. They trying to really kill us.
Right.
And then too, if anybody got convicted of any case, that was automatic life because we already convicted felons.
Right.
Oh, they had the deck stacked, but we went to school.
Right. We learned, the lawyers came, they set up like a law school on the deck for us,
Wow.
educating us on every process.
Let me mention this. Yvonne King, former Black Panther.
Black Panther, yeah.
She was a law student. And she was allowed English let her come in. We got a session because she was teaching us and this and that. And a couple of days ago was her birthday. And she
Shout out to her.
Shout out to Yvonne King. Thank you, my sister.
Yeah.
You know, because like I said, you were so very instrumental. And the brothers that's sitting here today, you were so instrumental.
And then
Being a
even Khalid.
Oh,
London,
Khalid London. Yes,
his
sir.
wife, Makeda,
Come on now.
they organized our families.
Yes.
And our family.
Pontiac
became-
Brother Support Coalition.
Yeah. Yeah. My mother, Larry's mother, all our parents got together and they formed an organization called the Concerned Family Friends of
Pontiac.
Prisoners.
Yeah, a prison, not just
Yeah.
the brothers, because
And they-
everybody was in it.
And I got old newspaper clipping where they actually went to New York and protested to the United Nations, saying that we couldn't get a fair trial nowhere in this country.
Oh, tell them about when we filed a motion to denounce our citizenship. We saying, y'all can't try us.
Yeah.
We not
Ray
American.
Lumumba was head to
Chuck Ray Lumumba. Oh, and his son is the governor down in
down
Jackson,
Jackson,
Mississippi.
Mississippi.
We work with them on the prison reform down in Mississippi.
Wow.
And
You know?
some of the things we did, because see, back then when you came in the county jail, you got one phone call in the receiving room.
Yeah.
Right.
And you were lucky if you put out a social worker slip and they might call home or call you in the office and you call. So what we did, because we was facing the death penalty, the lawyers filed a motion to give us a phone on our tier so we can have access to our attorneys.
Right.
And since they put it on our tier, they had to make it retroactive throughout
Everybody.
the whole jail.
Only thing I'm not proud of is our courtroom. When they put up the wall
Oh,
of
yeah.
petition,
Yeah.
that was the first person, we were the first people in the United States tried.
Put a bulletproof petition
All that
between
petition
us.
they have up now.
Yeah.
And then too, remember the black box?
Yeah.
Because the brothers was making cuff keys and smuggling cuff keys, and they come out when they want to. So that's that old black box they have with that was the first time they introduced that mess to.
we were shackled.
Man.
It was a belt around us with a chain, and then it had
Then a box.
handcuffs, and then they put the black box on the
top
middle
of
so
it.
you could maneuver.
Couldn't
and
move.
Stuff. Yeah, and there was a ring in the back with a big, a chain with a ring where they walk
Right.
you like a dog.
Yeah,
Right.
adult. In December, when they first started in Stateville, let us have visits, right? My mother and my brother George came in. This first time they seen me since July. Because my mama, them, you just get 5 visits a month, so she reserved one for moms, right?
Right.
I never heard my mother sound like that. She let out a wail that still shakes me to the bone. And I kept trying to tell, and my brother went off on me. Oh, hey, we been coming here 5 years, doing this, and you, slow down, Jim. Shoot, you going by what they saying,
Right.
you know? And I tell everybody, if they hear my voice, I never lost a day of sleep in that shit. You know why? Because in my heart, I knew my life had to have more to it than wind up in a box like Larry, 52 years or dead by 9, all that crazy stuff. I just knew it. I don't know why, but I just knew my life had to have more to it.
So we get through all of this. They're at the same time stomping out the black movements. They're introducing, they're cranking it up with the heroin at that time and the teas and blues
Oh,
and
yes.
it's just they're really coming at us as a people.
Right.
And you guys are in this situation, and the things that you do changes America. Looking at today, seeing that this is really the same situation wrapped up in a new box. You see what I'm saying? I mean, here's the drug epidemic. Here's the gangs. Here's the murders. Here are the guns in the system. The whole night, they're privatizing prisons. I mean, they did nothing but turned it up, man.
It's more sophisticated because of the technology. That's all.
So I would like for you two, to explain a possible way for younger people to navigate their way. How can we help them navigate through this mess?
Well, I would believe every young person that's vulnerable to get caught up in the system because they're not locking people up because of who they are. They locking people up because of where they live and the conditions. And if a young person can look at, okay, under these conditions, I'm living in with police violating our Fourth Amendment right, they're labeling us as gangs and all that kind of stuff. If you just, a young person, if you disconnect yourself from your peers and ask yourself where you trying to go with your life, right? And a lot of them can't figure that out. So that's when you have to have, say, a mentor in to guide them. Like, okay, if I ask a young person, where you want your life to look like a year from now? They'll struggle. So the question then was like, for example, do you want your own apartment? Do you want to still be alive? Do you want your income? And what else? So you got to pull the vision out of them. And then you ask them, say, what do you have to do to get there? And they still may struggle because they never did it before. So you got to give them some examples. For example, do you think you might need to take a trade, or do you like to go back to school? What are some other things? So you getting them to think, pulling it out of them. And then you ask, what do you know about you that might block you from getting there?
Exactly.
And they still might struggle because they never looked at their shortcomings. And so you give some examples, like, for example, have you ever been offered an opportunity that you really wanted and you knew you blew it? And they, well, talk about that. You get them to talk about how they was responsible for blowing the opportunity. And then you point it out to them, that's that part of you that you need to modify.
Yeah. Exactly.
Because if you continue to function like that, compromise and all that kind of stuff, and I tell young people, you got to live by the law of possibilities. And what that look like. Even myself, I can leave here this afternoon, go back where me and Ike come from on the west side. Guys still selling drugs, hustling. And what goes up on them corners? The police shaking you down, guys coming back, shooting somebody for something they did an hour ago. If I leave here and go up there, I can't cry when the police come and I'm standing next to a potato chip bag with 50 rounds of cocaine and they give me the case. I can't complain because I know that's a possibility.
Right.
Or somebody come and shoot the tip up and I catch a bullet. I can't complain because that's what's happening up there. Or I know a guy that's still in the game hustling or whatever, and I let him in my car. I don't know what he done did an hour ago or last night.
What's
somebody
in his
see him
pocket?
and shoot my car because he's in there. I can't complain because I know what he's about. And I don't have the courage to set that boundary and say, man, you was all right before I ran into you, move around, talk at you. And that's what we had to do in the beginning coming home. We had to set new boundaries with our peers.
For real.
I had to fall out with a lot of my homies because I ain't the old Benny Lee I used to be.
Yeah.
No, you can't get in my car.
Hello.
I'll holler at you later. No, you don't come to my house. We ain't that cool. I don't know what baggage you take. And so you got to set those boundaries. Even today, with our status today, we elders now.
Exactly.
We elders now. So I got to be real careful where I go get gas at because guys jacking folks for their cars. Would I go to an ATM machine? What time? All right, because I done been on the other end, kid. You come at an ATM machine and say, let me see that receipt.
Let me get that.
And I see the balance in your account and send you back up in there. So I got to be real mindful because I'm the Vic now. Because I got a home. I'm driving a nice car. I got a career. So I'm the guy they want to victimize. Right? And so I can't let ego kick in. But for young people, they got to look at it. If you want to reach your goal, the main thing you got to do is stay alive. Ask yourself, can you get killed hanging with some of your peers?
Or
can you get killed hanging in certain places? Exactly. So how do you minimize the possibility of getting killed? And then you can't reach your goal locked up.
That's an impossibility.
So how can you minimize the possibility of getting locked up? Think about it. Do you disassociate with certain people, certain places, some things you do? And you sure ain't gonna reach your goal high off no drug,
Hello.
because it's damaging your brain, right? So that's how I would come to young people. They got to look at, like Dr. Karinga says, 3 questions we must answer. Who am I? Am I who I say I am? And am I all I ought to be?
Exactly.
Who am I? I'm Benny Lee, the second son of Reuben Benjamin Lee, the grandson of Lewis and Oda D. Lee, and the great-grandson of Sip Lee, who was the last generation born in slavery. Lewis Lee was the first generation born out of slavery. I'm Alonzo Lee's husband. I'm Alonzo, Mika, Teese and Asia's father, Akil's grandfather. So if that's who I am, then I don't cheat on my wife. I don't neglect them.
Exactly.
So if I'm saying who I am, I'm providing for them. Because see, my life is bigger than me. When I make a decision, I gotta think about who I'm connected to.
Exactly.
And that's what happened with a lot of young, like when I was young, I disconnect from my family
Exactly.
value system and inherit a street culture value system. Then later a gang culture value system. And then a prison culture value system. So I had to be like Simba in the Lion King.
Okay.
Who Mufasa prepared to become the future king, and his uncle Scar told him to run away and never return. And he met a pig and a cat, Timon and Pumbaa, and they changed his culture, taught him
Okay.
Hakuna Matata.
Yeah.
You know, the world take it back against you, you turn your back against the world. Right until Rafiki came and told him, I know who you are. You Mufasa's boy.
Hey, man,
And
let's
he's
get
like,
back to
no.
it.
And his father Image came and said, you are my son, the son of a king. You more than what you become in life. And it dawned on something. I'm out here with Timon and Pumbaa, gang banger, getting high and all that stuff. Well, I was born to be a king. And that's what we got to get young people to see. You was born, well, they just didn't give you a name. They thought very hard on what name they gonna give you.
It was special.
Right? And then that last name you got is connected to generations of men
Exactly.
that came across the Atlantic Ocean before you got here. And once you
Exactly.
tap into who you are, then you be mindful of what you do.
If someone wants to get in touch with OG Benny Lee, you're a professor at
Northeastern Illinois University,
you understand, you have an organization.
NAFI, National Alliance for the Empowerment of the Former Incarcerated.
So you're actually taking charge of your responsibility.
And seeing myself as an institution. I'm an institution. I produce.
That is taking charge of responsibility. So how can they reach you?
Well, one, our website is, you can just Google NAFI, N-A-E-F-I, instead of the whole name, National Alliance for the Empowerment of Former Incarcerated. Our website will come up with all our contact info. If they want to meet me personally, which my life is an open book, I'm 773-593-2540. And I ain't got a problem receiving, I know how to redirect people that's talking foolish.
Exactly.
So I don't mind my number being out there.
Now, before we close, I want to hear how you see that, Ike, and explain to young people how you suggest or some pointers you could give on how they can maneuver through this madness today and stay alive and better their lives and be successful people in society.
Educate yourself. Just educate yourself. Look at us. Educate yourself. It's out there. And then in the 21st century, you brothers got the world of knowledge, history at your fingertips. And then all those that claim a membership in an organization, research your history. Because if your leader's not leading you the right way, and if listen, let me say this, great leaders produce leaders, not followers. You hear me?
You see
And
what I'm
then
saying?
our past didn't define our future.
Right.
So don't say what you can't. Say what you can.
And
Stand on it.
For real.
And no matter what field you're in, what job you have, we know you ain't getting paid your worth, but still do the best damn job you can. Show that you are worthy and you belong there. And then you brothers that stand out here selling Lucy's and for loose change and you able-bodied? No. If anything, go work at McDonald's or Burger King, some stuff like at least you could eat and put a couple of burgers in your pocket when your shift over, and that little check is a stepping stone, bus fare, or something to get you to the next level. And one thing I
Okay.
can say about my son, when he called himself leaving home, he went to Harold Washington Library.
Okay.
And now he's a world traveler,
That's a beautiful thing.
55 years old.
That's
And then two, if you have a so-called leader that's self-titled, like a Don or King and all that mess, check his background. Why is he self-titled? He didn't earn it.
How many guys on this leadership?
That's
been
misleading.
prison?
That's what I'm saying. I know how many of them dead.
Dead.
And speaking of that, they're split.
Yeah.
Not only in BDs, GDs, vice lords, and all other stuff and things. Look at that.
Splits there, yeah.
Unite. Unity is the only solution. That's our only solution is we unite. Because if it wasn't, ever since we came here, it was designed to keep us divided and at each other.
And that Willie Lynch there.
Willie Lynch.
from day one.
That's a shame. They wrote a book
Oh,
about
without a
how to
doubt.
do us.
Yeah, how to produce
And look at the
us.
buck, breaking the buck. That was that big
All of
old
that.
mandingo they brought out and whooped him and broke him down in front of everybody till they broke him. That's why you hear them with the wild horses. They ain't doing nothing but breaking a buck.
That's all.
Come on now. Unity.
So I want to close this out saying to the audience, those of you that need this information, continue to like, subscribe, follow. We're going to continuously bring this type of untold history. This is Black history. This is American history. There can be no American history without Black history. That's it. That's all. Thank you, big bruh. Thank
Right.
you, big bruh.
All right.
Been
It is what it is.
always.
We have created this show so that men and women alike can come forward and tell their truth. If you have people that you believe to be an OG, go into the comment section, write us, let us know where to find the history so that we can authenticate it, bring them on the show, tell their story so that we can add to the American history. That's it. That's all.
The original OG.
The original OG.